pupils, parents, and guardians. Let me start by thanking you for being a part of all our remote learning platforms, particularly our television program, The Classroom in Your Home. Each feedback has been awesome. Good job, you. Our teachers have been working assiduously to bridge the learning loss during this critical period. Therefore, I am pleased to inform you that the Classroom in Your Home has been extended to accommodate the lower primary classes and a dedicated lesson to cater for our special needs pupils in line with our mandate of providing an all-inclusive and quality basic education in our dear state.
Hello pupils, you're welcome to another wonderful edition of your favorite program, The Classroom in Your Home, a program organized by the Lagos State Government and packaged by the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, LASUBEB. The aim is to ensure that you are academically engaged in addition to what you're learning in school. I am Auntie Fumi, your English Studies teacher, and as usual, I have with me your wonderful teachers.
Hello children, I am your mathematics teacher, Uncle Agbaje, but you know me as the mathematician.
Uncle Popo is here, your general studies teacher.
And we have our beautiful sign language interpreter in the house, Auntie Rosemary. Together, we are bringing the classroom into your homes. Please stay tuned. Welcome to Auntie Fumi's class. In our English Studies lesson today, we'll be looking at the second part of homophones. Remember that homophones lesson? Okay, we are going to look at the concluding part today. But before we go into that, let's have the correction to our previous homework. In our last lesson, we looked at phrases, and we asked you to form sentences with each of the following phrases. All the boys, as soon as possible, across the road, in blue shirts, and during the week. I know you're going to have different sentences. We cannot have uniform sentences. So this is what I have. All the boys. The sentence I made with that phrase is, you must go with all the boys. As soon as possible. Here is my sentence. You need to return the money as soon as possible. Number 3, across the road. I'll get a cab across the road. Number 4, in blue shirt. The man in blue shirt stole the money. And lastly, during the week. Yemi will visit the clinic during the week. Those are my 5 sentences. Do you have something very close to this? Then you're right and you deserve to be celebrated with a cheer. Good job, you. To the learning objective for today's lesson, don't forget I said we're going to look at the second part of homophones. That topic, homophones. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to say the meaning of homophones, just like you did in the first part, in the lesson of the first part of homophones, and differentiate between 2 words that sound alike with their meanings. You remember in that lesson I told you homophones, they are words that sound alike but have different meanings. So let's begin. Homophones are words that sound alike but have different spellings and meanings. Homophones are words that sound alike but have different spellings and meanings. Examples are set of homophones are grown and grown. Grown and grown. They sound alike, but they have different spellings and different meanings. Groan, the first one, G-R-O-A-N. It means to make a deep sound when in pain. You are in pain. That is groaning. You groan when you make a deep sound when you are in pain. Maybe you hit your head against the wall and you're in pain. That sound you make is known as groaning. So groan means to make a deep sound when in pain. The second one, grown, G-R-O-W-N, is the past participle of grow, which means to get bigger. Can you see now? Grown and grown. They sound alike, but they're spelled differently and they have different meanings. Let's move on. Hair and hair. Hair and hair. One is spelled H-A-R-E and the second one is spelled H-A-I-R. The first one, H-A-R-E, is a wild animal, like a large rabbit. It's an animal like a large rabbit. While the second one, H-A-I-R, is a single long thread growing on the body of a human or animal. You have hair on your head and you have hair on your body. So, hair and hair, they sound the same way, spelled differently, and they have different meanings. That is what homophone is all about. Another one, hair or hair. Hair or hair. H-E-A-R and H-E-R-E. H-E-A-R means to perceive sound with the hair. Hair. It means to perceive sounds with the air. That is a form of hearing. And the second one, H-A-R-E, hair. It means in this place. That one means in this place. So hair and hair, the sound is the same, the meanings are different. Another one is loan and loan. Loan and loan. L-O-A-N and L-O-N-E. Loan and loan. L-O-A-N, loan, is a thing, especially money, lent to another. A thing, especially money, lent to another. You give it to someone and you say, okay, you pay it back to me at the end of a particular month or week. That's a loan. Then L-O-N-E, loan, with no one else there. It's another way, or it also means alone. Loan with no one else, or alone. Don't forget, loan and loan, they have the same sound, but they have different meanings. Maid and maid. Maid and maid. M-A-I-D and M-A-D-E. Maid is a female servant. Maid is a female servant. What you call house girl. Maid, a female servant. Maid, M-A-D-E, is the past tense of make. M-A-D-E, maid, is the past tense of make. Pale and pale. Pale, P-A-I-L, and pale, P-A-L-E. Pale is another word for bucket. Another word for bucket. While P-A-L-E, pale, is without much color. Without much color. They sound the same way, but they have different meanings. Are you enjoying the lesson at all? Another one is peace and peace. Peace and peace. P-I-E-C-E and P-E-A-C-E, peace and peace. P-I-E-C-E, peace, is a part of something or single thing. A part of something or single thing. A piece of paper, a piece of, that's correct. A piece of an item, a part of something, a single thing. While P-E-A-C-E is a state of quietness. Is a state of quietness. Where there are no noise, no chaotic situation. Everything is in a state of quietness. Peace and peace. Don't forget we're still on homophone. Pray and pray. Pray and pray. P-R-A-Y and P-R-E-Y. P-R-A-Y, pray, is to speak to God. Do you pray? It is important. It's a way of speaking to God. The second one, P-R-E-Y, an animal eaten by another animal. Animal eaten by another animal. Don't forget the words are pray and pray. P-R-A-Y and P-R-E-Y. Same sound, different meanings. Now it's activity time. Today we have looked at homophones. We've been able to define homophones and we've been able to give examples of homophones and their meanings. Now it's activity time. You have to make sentences with the following. Make sentences with the following. Pray, P-R-A-Y. Pray, P-R-E-Y. Peace, P-I-E-C-E. And peace, P-E-A-C-E. You have 40 seconds to do that. Your time starts now. Your pens down. Your pens down. Your eyes on me. Let's have the correction to our class activity. Shortly after, we go to another segment before signing out for today. You are asked to make sentences with the following words or the following homophones. You will have different sentences, but you must have a sentence that depicts the meaning of the given word. Pray, P-R-A-Y. What I have here is, remember to pray before going to bed. You have something close to that? Then, that means you understand the lesson. Don't fall prey. That is P-R-E-Y. Don't fall prey to the influence of bad kids. Don't get consumed. Or don't do what bad kids are doing. You don't fall prey to the influence of bad kids. The next one is peace, P-I-E-C-E. I gave him a piece of my mind. I gave him a piece of paper. She bought a piece of whatever item you may decide to use, but it must be close to this. And lastly, let him go so peace may reign. I told you peace, P-E-A-C-E, is a state of quietness. So the sentence I have here says, let him go so peace may reign. So you have something very close. Then I am proud of you and you deserve to be celebrated with a cheer. Good job, you. Before we go to that segment, let's quickly have our assignments. For your assignments, please make sentences with the following. I give you the next 20 seconds to capture this assignment. I'll come back for another segment that promises to be fun. So, make sure you do your homework and submit promptly. Don't forget, include your name, your school, your class, and your local government education authority. That's the only way we'll be able to identify you. You know what's in it when you do your homework promptly. Now to the next segment. We call it, Can You Pronounce It? Can you pronounce it? It's a segment designated to ensure or designed to ensure that you pronounce words well. So, are you ready? Let's go there. Look at this word. So many of you call, the way you pronounce the word, you call it sachet. It is incorrect. The word is called sachet. Sachet. Yes. It is a small sealed bag or packet containing a small quantity of something. Sachet is a small sealed bag or packet containing a small quantity of something. You have a sachet of sugar, a sachet of water. So the word is sachet, not sachet. Look at this. How do you pronounce it? You call it Wednesday. No, it is incorrect. It is Wednesday. Wednesday. Say that. Wednesday. It is the day of the week before Thursday and following Tuesday. It's called Wednesday. Don't say Wednesday. It is Wednesday. And that's it for today. We have come to the end of the English Studies lesson for today. We looked at homophones. Yes, and we had examples of words that sound alike and have different meanings and different spellings. Also, we looked at the segment. In our Can You Spell It segment, we looked at some words and their proper pronunciation. So it's time to hand you over to the mathematician, Uncle Agbaje, for another beautiful mathematics lesson. But don't forget, Auntie Fumi is always proud of you. Bye.
Hello, children. You are welcome to this segment of the program, The Classroom in Your Home. It is mathematics time. That means it is time to have some fun. I am Uncle Agbaje. Today is Monday, and that means we are going to begin with your Math-a-thon, a 1-minute mathematical marathon where you see how many questions you can answer on addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Do you have your pen and your notebooks already? Then let us begin. 1 minute. Over to you. Alrighty then, 1 minute is up. How many of these questions were you able to get? 58 plus 37 is 95. 67 plus 36 is 103. And then you have 81, 51, 25, 17, 38, 39, 63, 48, 54, and 21. I was actually working along with you and I got all these answers. Did you get all? Well, if you did, good job you. If not, keep on trying, my friend. One day you're going to get everything. Now to today's topic. We are still working on finding area. Remember that the area is the total space that is covered by a plane shape. We have looked at the area of many shapes that we will review today. But let's just look at the correction to the previous one assignment, which was given on finding areas of these triangles. Remember that to find the area of a triangle, you use the formula half of the perpendicular length times breadth, and that is because a triangle is half of a parallelogram. Now in this case, as we have said in the last lesson, the most important thing you want to identify is the perpendicular length and then the breadth or the base. And so in this case, the perpendicular length is 12 centimeters. You can see it because of this box that signifies the right angle. And then that perpendicular line is touching this line, and that is the base or the breadth, which means that this other one is not needed for the calculation of the area. So, area of the triangle is half perpendicular length times breadth, and that is half of 12 times 13. And when you multiply 12 by 13, you get 156. Taking half of that, we get 78. And that means that the area of this triangle is 78 centimeters squares. I believe that you got that right. Let's check out the second one. This says we should find the area of that. But in this case, what is the perpendicular length? Again, we have to look at the diagram and look for the box, and that is this line because it is not this one. This length is coming all the way from here, but it doesn't get to the bottom. But this is showing the distance from the top to the bottom, and that is 6 centimeters. And that means that in this case, if I draw the 6 centimeters inside the diagram, let me do that right here. If I reproduce this inside the diagram, that perpendicular length will be touching this breadth. And so the perpendicular length is 6. And the breadth is 5.5 centimeters. So, area of the triangle is half perpendicular length times breadth, which is half of 6 centimeters times 5.5 centimeters. So, really, we don't need these parts because this part is not part of the triangle. This is the triangle. The shaded line is just to show us the perpendicular length. Okay. Now, area of the triangle is half of the perpendicular length, which is 6 centimeters, and the breadth, which is 5.5 centimeters, which means 7 centimeters is just there as a distraction. Now, when we multiply 6 by 5.5 centimeters, we get 33.0 centimeters. Now, half of that will be the area of the triangle, and that is 16.5 centimeters. Now, I didn't want to waste time showing all the calculations because I believe you had enough time doing it. And so these are the answers. I believe that you got them right. And I will celebrate you as usual with a chair. That's because you are wonderful children. And now moving on to today's learning objectives. By the end of the day, you will be able to recognize how compound shapes are formed, because today we will be looking at finding the area of compound shapes. Remember that in our lesson on perimeter, I did tell you that compound shapes are not shapes that are found in your compound. What are they? I will rejig your memory about what they are today. You should be able to break compound shapes into simpler shapes, and finally you should be able to find the area of compound shapes. So without wasting time, let us get started. Thus far, we have been able to find the areas of these shapes. We've been able to see how to find the area of a square, which is essentially just multiplying the length and the length by itself, and then you get the area. For rectangles, it's multiplying the length times the breadth. For parallelograms, it's multiplying the perpendicular length times the breadth. And of course, for triangles, is half of the parallelogram. That is half of the perpendicular length times the breadth. Now, compound shapes are formed by combining two or more of these simple shapes that we already know. All the shapes that you know their name. When we now combine 2, 3, 4, 5 together to form an even bigger shape, we have what is called a compound shape. Like this. See what I have done? I've taken this square and I've taken this triangle and I bring them together. I have what is called a compound shape, but I can even blend it and that line is totally gone. And you have an arrow and you can be asked to find the area of this arrow. This arrow looking thing is a compound shape, which of course I have formed by joining a square and a triangle together. Now, to find the area of compound shapes, my friend, is very simple. The task for you will be to look at a compound shape and try to break it down into simple shapes. To find the area of compound shapes, you have to break it down into simple shapes and then find the area of each of the simple shapes. Now, when you find the area of the simple shape, because if you break this down into a triangle and a square, like this, along this line, if you break it down into a triangle and a square, then all you can do, my friend, is to find the area of this one and area of this one, and that is the space covered by this plus the space covered by this. Add everything together, you have the space covered by the compound shape. So it is quite intuitive, really. So all you have to do is to break a compound shape into simpler shapes, find the area of each simple shape, because you have been taught how to find the area of all the simple shapes anyway. When you find the area of each, at the end of the day, add all the area together and you would have found the total area for the compound shape. But it is not enough for me to say this by mouth. You know, as usual, we'll put it into practice. Let's see some examples in action. This is an example of a compound shape. It's looking at like an inverted H. An H facing backwards. Obviously, this is not a square, it is not a rectangle, it is not a triangle, it is a compound shape. So what we have to do to find the area of this shape is not to start thinking of which formula to use. The first thing you want to do, my friend, is to break it into simple shapes. And so I have broken it down along this line so that we have a rectangle here, and a rectangle here. Now, of course, my friend, you can find the area of rectangle. So let's just split it up so that you can see individual dimensions. So I've put this first triangle this way and I call it A, triangle A. I'm sorry, rectangle A. I put this rectangle to the side, put this one in the middle, put this one to the side. So now we find the area of this one, which is very simple. It's just the length times the breadth. Find the area of this one, length times the breadth. Find the area of this one, the length, which is 30 centimeters, times the breadth. Let's see it in action. Area of A, which is the first shape here, is length times the breadth, and that is 15 centimeters times 5 centimeters. So I write that here. 15 centimeters times 5 centimeters. That should give us 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So I write 5. I regroup to 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2. That's 7. So 15 times 5 should give us 75 centimeters squares. Obviously, that is about right. So I will circle this as my first area for the first shape. And now to find the area of the second shape, which I call B, I just multiply again the length by the breadth because it is a rectangle. Okay, so area of B is 10 times 5, or we can do 5 times 10. It doesn't matter which one we do first. Multiplication is commutative. Now 10 times 5 is 50 centimeters squares. So 10 centimeters times 5 centimeters, that is 50 centimeters squares. So we've gotten the area of B. Let me just circle that. Okay. Now the third one is, incidentally, is a rectangle. And the length is 5 centimeters by 30 centimeters. That is 5 times 30. Now 5 times 3 is 15. Then I put a 0 and I will get 150 centimeters squares. And that is the area of the third one. But it is not yet Uhuru, my friend. We were to find the area of the whole compound shape. What we only used as a strategy is to break it down into 3 and find the area of each part. Remember that we have to add everything. And so the total area is 75 centimeters squares plus 50 centimeters squares plus 150 centimeters squares. And when we add all these together, 75 centimeters squares plus 50 centimeters squares, that will give us 125 centimeters squares. And so let me just add everything together for you here. Okay, so 75 centimeters squares plus 50 centimeters squares plus 120 centimeters squares. I'm sorry, 150 centimeters squares. Okay, so 5 plus 0 plus 0 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 plus 5 is 17. Regroup 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And so we get 275 centimeters squares. And so, adding everything together, 275 centimeters squares for this particular compound shape. Now, this one was divided into 3 parts and into rectangles. Another one may not be divided into rectangles. It may not even be 3 parts. It may be 4 parts, depending on what we are working with. Let's check out this one. Find the area of this compound shape. So can you already guess which shapes we're going to divide this into? Well, let's see how it's done. Now, obviously, we're going to have a triangle on top and a rectangle below. And the dimensions we're given says that this length of this rectangle is 9 centimeters, the breadth is 10 centimeters, but the distance from the bottom of the rectangle to the top of the triangle is 17 centimeters. So what we have to do is we need to find the height of the triangle as different from the height of the rectangle. So doing that, of course, this breadth is 10 centimeters because this one is 10 centimeters. And now this one will be 8 centimeters because everything is 17, but this is 9. From the bottom to the top of the rectangle is 9. And so we need 8 more to get to 17. 9 plus 8 will get to 17. So from this point to the top, let me use a marker here. From this point to the top will be 8 because 9 plus 8 must give you 17. And so if this is 8, then this must be 8 as well because it forms a rectangle with this. So now I can separate the 2 shapes. So we have 10 for the base here and 8 for the perpendicular height. And of course, this one is still 10 and 9. And I have labeled them A and B. So of course, now we have to find the areas of this shape. Now it's not just to multiply. Remember that the triangle, the formula for the area is half of the perpendicular length times the breadth. So let us begin. Area is half of the perpendicular length times the breadth. The perpendicular length here is 8 centimeters, and that is why you have half of 8 centimeters. Then the breadth is 10 centimeters. So we have half of 8 times 10. 8 times 10, my friend, will give us 80 centimeters squares. And half of 80 is 40 centimeters squares. And so the area of A is 40 centimeters squares. Now let's check out B. B is just perpendicular length times breadth. Length times breadth, that is 9 times 10. 9 times 10, of course, is 90. And so we need to add these 2 numbers. 40 centimeters squares and 90 centimeters squares because this corresponds to the area of A and to the area of B. Adding both of them together will give us the area of the compound shape. So 90 plus 40 centimeters squares will give us 130 centimeter squares. I believe now you're getting further insights into how to tackle problems of areas of compound shapes. Now take this one. Find the area of this compound shape. It's a very simple one. You have 1 minute, 15 seconds. Begin. Alrighty then, your time is up, my time is now. Were you able to make any headway? Well, we begin, of course, by dividing the shape into two simpler shapes. And now you can see I've drawn a line here. So we have a rectangle below that is horizontal and a rectangle standing vertically. Now, here, the length of this side is 10 centimeters. And the length of this side must also be 10 centimeters. But if this side is 4 and this side is 4, that is 8. That means the middle must be 2 because everything must be 10. And that is why we have 2 centimeters here. And we need this because that will be the breadth of the vertical rectangle. So now separating the shapes, see, separating the shapes, this is 2 centimeters and the height is still 8. This is 2 centimeters given and the breadth is 10. So let me label them A and B. Area of A is just length times breadth, which is 8 centimeters times 2 centimeters, and that is 16 centimeters squares. For the second part, area is 2 times 10, and that is 20 centimeters squares. Now adding the area of A and the area of B, we get 16 centimeters squares plus 20 centimeters squares. And of course, that is 36 centimeters squares, which I'm sure is what you got as well. Good job, you. Now, if you did not get that, perhaps the time was a little bit short for you, no problem. The assignment is coming up right about now. You can practice on your own until you get it right. Find the area of this compound shape, and I will be on hand in the next lesson to show you how it's done. Copy this down. You have 20 seconds. Alrighty then, we have come to the end of the mathematics lesson for today. I hope you were able to gain some insight into finding the area of compound shapes. Remember, all you have to do is take it from what you don't know, break it down into what you know, and you will not miss your way, my friend. It's time for me to hand you over to Uncle Popo for the General Studies lesson. Till I come your way in the next class, do remain wonderful mathematicians. Bye now.
Hello pupils, you are welcome to General Studies class. I am Uncle Popo. Uncle Popo is here. Good, we are here together. Excellent, we are here together. You have promised to give me 100% attention in today's lesson. Our subject for today is Basic Science and Technology. In Basic Science and Technology, in our last lesson, we discussed components of white light. There we talked about the 7 colors of rainbow. We talked about primary colors, secondary colors, and complementary colors. Today we want to look at another topic, and that is woodwork and tools. Let me take that again. Woodwork and tools. That's the topic. Say that. Woodwork and tools. What are the learning objectives? By the end of the lesson, you should be able to define hand tools, and you should be able to list the types of hand tools with examples. I know some of you will have been to maybe carpentry shop before, and you will have seen some hand tools that are used at those shops. So in today's lesson, we'll look at those hand tools. What are hand tools? Hand tools are simple machines that can easily be handled to perform simple tasks. I take that again. Hand tools are simple machines that can easily be handled to perform simple tasks. What are these hand tools? Let's look at these pictures. These are different examples of hand tools. And as we have these hand tools, they are divided into different categories. All these categories, we shall be learning all of them in today's lesson. In woodwork, hand tools are grouped into 5. Hand tools are grouped into how many? 5. Let's look at them. We have the first one, we have cutting tools. Say that. Cutting tools. And next one we have measuring tools. Say that. Measuring tools. And next we have marking tools. Say that. Marking tools. Next one we have the boring tools. Say that. Boring tools. And lastly we have driving tools. Say that. Driving tools. These are the 5 categories of these hand tools. The divisions we have these hand tools. The first one, cutting tools. Cutting tools are used in cutting wood during construction of objects. Cutting tools are used in cutting wood during construction of objects. What are the examples? We have chisels, we have saws, we have planes. Let's look at the examples. We have the saw. Example here, we have panel saw. What do we use that for? We use it for cutting across woods. I know, have you seen this type of saw before? I know some of you will have seen it. Good. This is an example of cutting tool. Another example is a chisel. We use chisel for cutting bit chiseling off wood piece. And this is an example of chisel. Please look at it. I know some of you will have seen the chisel before. Look at it. Good. We use it for cutting bit chiseling off wood piece. Next cutting tool, we have a jack plane. Say that. Jack plane we use for smoothing rough surface of wood. If you have been to carpentry, you'll have seen it used for smoothing rough surface of wood. Good one. Next example is file. We use file for when file that I'm referring to is not the file like a paper file. This type of file, look at the picture, we use for cutting or smoothing pieces of wood. For cutting or smoothing pieces of wood. That's another example of cutting tool. Now moving on to measuring tools. We have looked at examples of cutting tools. Measuring tools now. Measuring tools are used for measuring distance, measuring short distance for accurate construction. Measuring tools are tools used for measuring short distance for accurate construction. So examples. Let's look at examples of measuring tools. The first one I have steel rule. Say that. Steel rule. S-T-E-E-L rule. We use steel rule to determine the size of piece of wood to be worked upon. Want to use piece of wood, we use steel rule to determine the size of that piece of wood that we want to use, that we want to work upon. That steel rule is an example of measuring tool. Another one is tape measure. Say that. Tape measure. I know some will call it tape rule. I think the correct way to say that or to pronounce that should be tape measure. We use it to measure the length and breadth of objects to be constructed. We use tape measure to measure the length and breadth of objects to be constructed. This is, I know some will have seen this. Look at the picture. So this is an example and one of the examples of measuring tools. Now moving on to marking tools. Say that. Marking tools. What are the tools used for? They are used for marking out lines and angles for wood construction. Marking tools are tools used for marking out lines and angles for wood construction. What are the examples of marking tools? We have divider. We have divider like you have in your math sets. You know, we have divider in your math set. So this one we use it for woodwork, used for marking out circles and arcs on wood piece. This divider is used for marking out circles and arcs on wood piece. Divider. So that's one of the examples of marking tools. We also have marking knife. Say that. Marking knife. We use marking knife to mark out visible mark on wood piece for cutting. If you want to cut, we use it for marking out visible mark on wood piece for cutting. That's another example of marking tool. Next one is tri-square. Say that. That's another example. We use that for marking and testing lines at right angles, especially 90 degree for accuracy. You want to measure 90 degree when making construction and woodwork, and you want to do that. So tri-square is the best tool to use to measure and testing lines at right angles. That's 90 degree for accuracy. Next one, now we want to talk about, we have looked at examples of marking tools. Now to boring tools. Say that. They are used for making holes on piece of wood. That's boring tools. They are used for making holes on piece of wood. What are the examples? We have the bradawl. Say that. Bradawl is used for making small holes for screws and nails. That's bradawl. That's one of the examples of boring tool. We also have a ratchet brace. Say that. Ratchet brace is used for boring holes on piece of wood. That's another boring hole tool. And now let's look at the last one, that is the driving tools. Driving tools are used for driving in screws or nail on woods. Driving tools are tools used for driving in screws or nail on woods. What are the examples of driving tools? We have the ratchet screwdriver. We use these for driving in and removing out of screws from wood. We use ratchet screwdriver for driving in and removing out screws from wood. I know some of you will have seen this before. Let's look at another example. Ball peen hammer. This is used for driving in screws and nails. You are very familiar with this. So it's an example of a driving tool. In today's lesson, we have looked at what hand tools are. You were told that hand tools are simple machines that can easily be handled to perform simple tasks. And in woodwork, hand tools are grouped into 5: cutting tools, measuring tools, marking tools, boring tools, and driving tools. So it's time now for evaluation. 3 questions are here. The first question, what are hand tools? Second question, list 3 cutting tools. And third question, what do we use bradawl for? These are the 3 questions. You have just 30 seconds to attempt this. Your time starts now. Eyes on me. Uncle Popo is here. I believe you are still there, so let's mark together. What are hand tools? Hand tools are simple machines that can be easily be handled to perform simple tasks. I know that's very simple. List 3 cutting tools. We have chisel, we have saws, we have planes, and any of the examples that we have discussed today. And the last one, what do we use bradawl for? Bradawl is used for making small holes for screws and nails. 3/3, let me see your end. Brilliant one. 2/3, you are great. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Until next time, next lesson, Uncle Popo says, keep on studying. Bye.
Please encourage your wards to tune in and take every advantage of this laudable program. Also remember, this pandemic is not over. Let us continue to abide by all health and safety guidelines as stipulated by the government. At LASUBEB, We are determined to leave no child behind in our quest to improve the standard of basic education in our state. Thank you.
My wonderful pupils, we have come to the end of another exciting episode on the Classroom in Your Home.
It has been exciting indeed for us learning with you today, as we have brought you new lessons in English language, mathematics, and of course, general studies. Now, as usual, we have online assessments for you to practice with in order to sharpen your skills. You can access these tests using the link bit.ly/LASUBEB tests. The link again is bit.ly/LASUBEB tests. Remember, these online assessments are our way of knowing how well you are performing, because we want to help you to improve on your performance.
Accessing the test is based on if you have access to either your daddies, your mommies, your uncles, or your aunties' Android or smartphones. But if not, no problems. Just send your questions, your comments, and your assignments to 081-50-86-5663. Please do not call that line. SMS and WhatsApp messages only. And when you're sending in your assignments, make sure you indicate your name,
Your school,
Your class.
and your local government education authority. That is the only way we'll be able to identify you and appraise you accordingly.
All the new lessons learned today and the previous ones are on LASUBEB YouTube channel for you to watch again at your own preferred time. Subscribe to LASUBEB YouTube channel to get notification when new videos are uploaded. The Classroom in Your Home could be watched live on Facebook, the same time airing on television through the page showing on the screen.
Until our next lesson, where we shall meet again on your favorite edition of the Classroom in Your Home, make sure you do your homework.
Wash your hands regularly.
keep studying hard, but above all, stay
Stay
safe.
safe.
Because at LASUBEB, we'll leave no child behind.